the MTDCNC podcast, sponsored by Langley Alloys, unique metals for demanding applications, providing first-class performance and an international service.
Welcome to this MTDCNC podcast. Today I'm at Flegg Projects and I'm on the podcast today with Adam from Flegg Projects. You are Operations Director.
That's correct, yes.
So tell me about, Adam, what you do on a daily basis.
So the Operations Director role at Flegg Projects is a very varied role. I wear multiple hats on a daily basis. The prime thing, obviously, main overview. I have pretty much most of the internal processes under my purview. I also double up as our compliance officer, and I also take the lead on all our health and safety stuff, and that's everything from the guys all the way through to our equipment, our lifting equipment, and our on-site operations. So that would include RAMs, lift plans, and all that kind of health and safety stuff as well. I also then have, I'm the director in charge of the medical division as well. So that comes with its own sort of little challenges and bits and pieces. And then after that, I also look after facilities, and there's a few other bits and pieces, little things which I pick up as I go along. It's very varied
job there, Adam. Yeah. It sounds like you wear a lot of hats within the business. And we'll go further in depth to what you do and single out some of the bits that you do. But I want to start with how you got to be at Flegg. When did you start at Flegg and where you are now?
So if we go all the way back, we'll dust off the history books. I first walked through the door of Flegg Projects on the 4th of November 1998, and I turned up as a lorry driver, having answered an advert, little small cubular advert in a local newspaper, and came down, did the interview, and then knew nothing about the machinery work. I'd never done it. Arrived with a HIAB license, and that was wasn't even like a requirement. It was beneficial if I had it. And then did the interview. Everything seemed to go well. The only way forward with this was to go out for a day with them. Did that.
Yeah.
While I was outside, Flegg was on the job with me, and he said, "Right, do you want a job or not?" I went, "Okay, I'll have a job." And here we are.
Easy as that. Yeah.
Here we are later.
So that was, I don't want to say a while ago. I don't mean to be rude. And sorry, guys, if you do hear anything in the background, we are in a working environment, and this is what goes on a day-to-day basis at Flegg Projects. So starting then, you've been backwards and forwards. What, as a lorry driver, how then did you become to where you are now and having this role that you have?
Right. So
it's a very important role, Adam.
Yeah, to be fair, it is. There's a lot riding on it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. There's some sleepless nights.
Oh, of course.
But I said, turned up, knew nothing. As a lorry driver, and then trainee health machine mover, as we term them now. But at that time, we were just one of the lads.
Yeah, one of the lads. Yeah.
Go out, watch the guys, pick their brains, find out how to do the job, where to position jacks, put your skates, what to look out for, all that.
Because it's not just pick the machine up and move it, is there? No. Like, people's lives are at risk here, as well as damage to machinery.
There's damage to machinery, there's the site, every site's different. You've got the civilians walking around you, so all the employees of the site who we really want, they can just stand back, admire what we do, but not get involved.
That's the best way, yeah.
And then you learn your bits and pieces, and then sort of move ahead and pick up your bits of other training, and then you go along, so forklift and all that kind of stuff. When I started, it was a much less convoluted scenario than it is now. And then just went along. I was here, my first stint here was about 4 years odds as a driver. And then I left for a while, and then I came back. And when I came back, there was a bit more structure to the company. More people had joined, business had got bigger. So when I came back, I was here for a while working, and then there was a foreman site engineer role in place, and the guy who occupied that at the time, he left.
Okay.
And I was speaking to Jason Flegg, and I just said to him, well, look, I'd be interested in doing that. And so if that position is there, he said, right, well, we'll go for that. So that role was on site with the guys, but being the kind of the on-site lead, which was a role that we never really had before that.
But did you see that kind of crop up that you needed a role there to be
was-
sustained?
Yeah. So in my first time here, there was always the thing, you don't without we were all equal.
Yeah.
And some guys had a bit more confidence about them. So if a customer came talking to them, some lads would kind of climb up and go, look, mate, you need to ring the office and a bit of that. Other people, they want to be able to have that face-to-face. Can you do this while you're here? Or, can we do this? Or we need to change our position or whatever. And some guys just aren't that sort of way inclined. So there was that sort of almost liaison kind of point, if you like. So it would have been there. In my time away, obviously the business had realised that they needed to do that. We were getting a lot more project type work.
Okay.
So less to do with the on the road transport, more to do with the guys on site.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it sort of came from.
Okay.
So I took that role, and then that was say that kind of on-site lead, but it was also kind of the engineer's role from the point of view of dismantling of stuff, of the machinery, especially the bigger lines, having somebody to run that. So I did that for about 3 years, and then I left again, but I went back to Ireland.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I left for a year, literally calendar year, went home to Ireland, 12 months. Ireland was, at the time, was in great economic boom.
Yeah.
And I got off the boat. 4 days later, the whole global subprime disaster, world recession kicked in. Ireland went from boom, boom, boom to meow. Yeah. Gave it 12 months, came back. And then took a little bit of time, but I joined Flegg's again then. And I said to Jay, well, look, I'll come back, but I would be interested in getting back up the ladder and getting moved on. So very shortly after I came back, I became a service manager, which was a new role created to get us up and running. And I fulfilled that for a while, and then we took on some more guys. And Jason said, well, look, we need to put another layer in.
Yeah.
So he made me general manager. And I ran that for a while and did that. And then we got more guys in and we started the medical division. And then he said, right, well, we need to put another layer in with all the experience and time. So he made me up to operations director.
It sounds like a fantastic journey, Adam. Yeah. And listening to that over the years, as the companies grew, and as companies grow, you do have to put a structure in place.
Yes.
Some companies work with 8 guys on site and you can deal with them through text, through phone call, and just between you. But once it starts to get bigger, and what we will go on to is health and safety and insurance is a big part, especially now, 2024. Not everybody goes mad for it, but it needs to be in place if things do happen. And I don't want to say back in the day, but you were able to just pick up a machine and move it and go ahead with it. But talk to me about as well, maybe site surveys. So you could turn up to a customer and it just be a simple machine move, whereas compared to a large project where you've got about 12, 13 guys on the case.
So what you've got, we would have, in the old days, a site survey for us would have been our customer saying, it might be worth sending somebody down. I think there's a few bits and pieces here you need to see. So we'd breeze through, or we'd chip in if we were driving past, have a quick look, give them the thumbs up or whatever, and then move on. When the foreman engineer's job was brought in, we started to formalise our site surveys because what we were finding was it was all well and good somebody saying, yeah, I've been there, it's grand, but then we didn't have any information to pass on to the guys.
Yeah, and it's word of mouth then as well, isn't it?
Word of mouth, yeah. Bit of Chinese whispers, Suddenly a door that was 4 meters turns into like 2.5 and you're never going to get in there at all. So we started to formalise it, got a bit of paperwork involved because everybody loves paperwork.
Oh.
A bit of a form, a few boxes, door measurements, heights, all that kind of stuff. That then developed on, and depending on sort of where we were at and the level of difficulty we found at the site meant more detail in the site survey. So we went from very simple things where we'd be turning up, massive yard, big door, wide open place, turn up, happy days, 1 page, send the boys, get the job done. The more intricate, the more detail. Measuring up the yard, doors, the route through. Phone cameras started to really come into their own then, obviously with pictures and all the rest of it, whereas previously we didn't really have that. A lot of diagram drawn went on,
I see, yeah.
And when the projects became more of a thing, and health and safety, but also that information gathering and collating become more important, we would be having on-site meetings with the client, actually sort of schedule ones rather than just say we're going to turn up and have a wee
Yeah,
look.
yeah.
And then, like I say, bigger the job, more blokes, more machinery, more equipment. They want to make sure you're all squared away. They want to make sure that the time frame is good because they have to program their production and everything around you. So it becomes a much bigger animal, and it starts getting more involved. 10 years ago, our site survey form was like 1 page, quick diagram at the bottom.
Yeah.
It was almost like a car accident form.
I see, yeah, and just
that.
rip it off and
Yeah.
there you go.
Over the years, we've had to develop thing. We now use an app.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the guys.
That's a really good idea. That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
So it's not a dedicated app. We kind of it's an app which was essentially born out of the construction industry. It's a snagging app.
Okay.
So you go around, take a picture of your thing, and you can type onto it. So the guys use that and take a picture of the yard and say, "This is your measurement here." Picture of the door, it's this big, that high, and all the way through. That gets sent into the sales team. The surveyor highlights at the bottom of that what he thinks time, resources, manpower, and any other bits and pieces we need to pay attention to. Any notes for the customer.
Yeah.
That goes to sales. They base their quote off that, but that then also gets shared with the guys.
Yeah, yeah. So everybody knows.
Everything, yeah. Now, depending on the size of the project, that can be a couple of pages, comes off as a PDF.
Yeah, yeah.
Or for the really big ones, I think the project manager, my biggest one's about 20 pages.
And it's a document folder. Here, if anything happens, there you go.
Yeah. There's what you're looking into. Have
Yeah.
a gander at that, and then you know
Have
where
a
you're
cup of
at.
tea and sit down and read that.
Sit down, read that. Have a wee cry here.
Some of it though, I do my bet is like, I don't want to swear on here, but like, oh my God, like, it's some of the stuff you really have to, like you said, sometimes sleepless nights, like, and it's times like that where, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do? But you've got such a great team. You've got the sales team, you've got the ops team, logistics team, and you're all able to work in unison together to create the Flegg projects, and for it to still be going and still getting bigger.
Yes.
It means you're doing something right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think, well, having watched Kirsty James's podcast with you,
Oh yeah.
the little cog in the wheel.
Yeah.
We're just a whole bundle of cogs, but we're all
Yeah.
really well aligned. It's the bigger we got, and the bigger we're getting.
Yes, definitely.
The more you kind of pay attention to these things. When we were smaller, like when I joined Flegg's first, there was like 10 guys in the road or something like that. There's 45 people actually physically out in the road working.
Yeah.
And then all the support staff, the background, and everything else. So the more you get into it, what you find is that there's more input from other people.
Yes. Okay.
And they kind of go, right, well, actually, I could do with seeing this particular type of information or presented this way, the next one you're doing. So it kind of, it flows, but it also then kind of self-perpetuates itself in that you have that input from the guys. We then sort of maximize their thoughts, if you like, to get what we need to see from it. And then if we need to do something, we go off and we make it look, find potentially a digital resource or whatever we need to find to actually get us to that kind of a point. Like,
with that many guys out on the roads, talking about health and safety, cost sheet, it's not just cost sheets, it's not just PPE. They go like, put some steel toe caps and a hat on and goggles and go and do this job, is it? It's a lot more than that.
Yeah, so obviously the health and safety rules and regulations are rigorous these days, to say the least.
Yeah.
Some may argue maybe a bit too much, but so obviously we equip with our guys all our stuff. They have to have all the usual, so hard hats, glasses, gloves, the boots.
Yeah.
Obviously we whack them in overalls because the sites are never really.
Yeah, you don't, and sometimes even though you do site surveys, you don't know what you're walking into.
You don't know
Oil-wise, mist in the air, anything. Yeah.
All sorts of stuff. And then any of the specialist stuff, so the face masks, respirators. We have a customer who insists on a different colour of high vis so that you can actually
They can
pick
be
out from the
seen.
crowd.
Yeah.
So like all their guys are in green, our lads have to be in orange. It's that kind of a scenario. So you get all that in place. Obviously, then the tools, the equipment to do the job, the right moving equipment for us, and all that kind of stuff. So it's the health and safety sort of side of it. From the guy side, they all have to be 100%, but they have to have everything with them. So all their lifting accessories, they all have to be right. They all have to be certified. We don't have so much of a thing with Kosh because we're handling the machinery going in new.
It's not the afterwards where it's running and creating.
Before we get to it, it's either new going in and nice and shiny, or if it's getting relocated, obviously they'll give it a bit of clean, but it's isolated. And all those stuff, they're all out, so we don't have to worry about that. And then you've got all the paperwork side. So all your RAMs, your risk assessment, your method statements, they're a thing that have developed over the years as well. They're a huge part, but they're a situation now where RAMs are now requested nearly, at the time of quoting the job before you ever get
straight away. Just give me.
Are you going to have RAMs? Yes. When will I get them? Or we need them in advance because they need to run them through their health and safety departments.
I see that quite often, obviously, because we work in the engineering sector, and sometimes even when we go, our equipment, other than your lifting equipment, your cranes and things, our equipment are cameras and things like that, and they still need to have certification and show us their insurance. So for us to just have cameras, and sometimes it's like, oh yes, we have, here it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's quite a elongated process, but it does need to be done. Another section I want to talk on, Adam, is the medical section. I don't really know much about this section of Flegg Projects, so give me into a bit of detail on that.
So we took on, through various sort of good fortune, if you like. Okay. The medical division at Flegg's came into play. The situation was, we had worked for, the guys who we employ now, worked for another company's since gone out of business. Okay. Well, actually, they went out of business, which is why we wound up where we were. Yeah. But while they were in business, we actually used to work for them. Okay. So the situation was, if there was any bespoke lifting work, so basically if it was leaving the ground, or if it was going up onto upper floors, or if it was going down through a hole and going under the ground, we used to go and do the bespoke lifting for them. So these guys would get us in. Yeah. And then... Was that because the job was too big for them, but they didn't want to handle it themselves? You were better handled. We were better to do the handling and what they need to do. So those guys, their job was to have say for instance, let's take an X-ray system, right? So X-ray system made up of multiple parts. So anybody who's had an X-ray stood in that room and looked at all these things hanging from the ceiling and chest stands and all the rest of that, and your patient bed and all the rest of it. So they all come in pretty boxes. But our guys, or the guys that back then, they're in the room, we unpack the stuff, we get in the room, we hang it off the ceiling, we do that fitment, and then commissioning engineers will come in and they'll do the last final commissioning. If that's going straight through ground level door and can either go into a ground level suite or is going up to upper floors in the lift or down in the lift, that's fine. They can handle it. If you have a situation where the hospital or the facility doesn't have that space or that access, and it's not so much with the X-ray stuff, but you still get it. But it's the slightly bigger stuff. So the CT machines and the MRIs, you'd be amazed the amount of those that go down through a hole in the floor into the basement levels. You're talking anywhere between 3.5 and 8 tons. That's a lot. Yeah. They're quite big, lumpy things. So to get those off the back of a truck, into the building, and then actually to find their way either down through a floor or up through a floor and positioned, those guys didn't have that equipment and that expertise. They could commission, they could do their last bit of position and commission, but what we call the hot sweaty bit, they didn't have they didn't have the wherewithal for that. So we used to work for them. That's where they knew us from. When their company then started to take a little bit of a downward turn, we were actually, the guys who were the project managers dealt with us, they were sort of saying, look, there may be a conversation to be had here somewhere. And we had to tender for all the work. We tendered with all the companies. It was all, it was all done legitimately. there was no shady under the table.
No, no,
stuff
no.
or
I'm
any of that
not
sort
trying
of
to
stuff.
say
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
looking at it, Adam, as well, it's not like Flegg Projects has acquired a business. It's basically added on.
It's added on.
You know, because you now have the guys. Yes, you can go in and do the job, but you have the certified guys as well that can commission it.
That
So
can do
you
the
do that
commissioning
bit,
work,
and then
yes.
they do that bit, and you're able now to offer that to the customers.
We offer that out as well.
Okay.
And it worked really well because those guys doing that in the room medical commissioning work wouldn't have been as experienced with the heavier lift and handling. So the support they get from the transport, lift and handling side of the business, the project side of the business, it's all worked really well, like really, really well sort of laid out for us and stuff.
Well, Adam, it's been fantastic to talk to you today. Thank you for spending time with me to talk
grand.
about. It's been really good. It's been really interesting to see. We were talking about it earlier. I only dealt with CNC machine move, so to find out it's on a whole nother scale, and the things that you guys do is just fantastic. Stay tuned for more Flegg podcasts with more of the Flegg Projects team, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the MTDCNC podcast, sponsored by Langley Alloys, specialists in a wide range of exotic materials for any application for all your engineering needs.